What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast. Now, I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Rocksteady's Superman game. What's kind of gone on according to the leaks/rumors that we have heard. This is several weeks old at this point, but I wanted to throw my hat in there and kind of talk about just the whole thing. You know, what actually happened, what's going on with Rocksteady in general, and what's going to go on with them, going forward. This has been something that I assume a lot of people thought was in the making for a while. That once and I guess this has even been since 2013, so this was before Arkham Knight, and that's not uncharacteristic of studios to start working on their next game before the game that they're actually, the first game that's coming out actually releases, right? To have a second game kind of being worked on in the background. That seems to be what happened here with Rocksteady's Superman game, and obviously from the reports, again, from that James Sigfield, who I don't necessarily 100% trust in general. I do believe this stuff just off the bat. I do think this stuff did happen, but I'm not willing to say that I believe every single thing he says or that he's even a good insider. That's just my own personal opinion from everything I've seen on this guy. When it comes to this Superman game, it sucks. I mean, that's probably the best way to say it, and the only way to say it. It's something that, again, we kind of all expected, especially with all the Easter eggs and all the stuff that just was done in Arkham Knight, where it's like, all right, when you see Rocksteady going forward, this really seems like what they're going to do, right? They're going to do Superman. If there's anybody that can do it, it's going to be them, right? And, to be honest with you, from the leaks, from what he actually said, it sounded like one of the games, one of those two, pitched Superman games to them, not the one that got started but then canceled, but the second one, it really only sounded like the problem with that was the whole can't use an engine that isn't the Arkham engine, and that was from Warner Bros. In general. I don't understand that. I don't get why that would be what you would do. I guess you could say, well, if you had to build your own engine or make your own engine, that's going to take some time. It's been 5 years, almost. I mean, it's been 4.5, right? But by the time we see their next game, which I do not think is at the Game Awards, I think it's going to be at E3, it'll have been 5 full years. And if they were wanting to work on it since 2013, if that's when they originally started doing this, that is even additional. That's even more time, right? So that'll be 6 years, or that will actually be 7 years by E3, 6.5 right now. That's an insane amount of time. You can make an engine in that amount of time. Okay, maybe they didn't want to spend the resources. Maybe they didn't want to, whatever the reason being for why they didn't want to make a new engine. That's what honestly annoys me a little bit about that. But what's going on at Rocksteady? Well, for the longest time, and another thing that's kind of conflicting is they've constantly said over the past couple years, it's not a Superman game. It's not. We're not going to be at this conference. Oh, and by the way, the game we're working on, it's not a Superman game. And we've talked about gaming developers lying to people just as a job. That's basically their job, and what they do for pleasure, right, is hiding things and just flat out lying to keep things hidden. That's just what they do. It's part of the gig, right? It's part of, you don't want to spoil what you're working on. And so I'm not saying, like, because they're conflicting, I don't trust one or the other. I think that's just generally the case. I do feel like they were making a Superman game. Here's what I'll say for their new game. There's been the rumors of the Suicide Squad game, which also had reportedly been canceled. There was rumors of Justice League. There's rumors of Superman. I will tell you that I truly feel like they've probably, and I do want to kind of make this a different video because I want to kind of pitch out to you what I think has happened. I think this is a Justice League game that they're working on. I think Superman is going to be in it, but he is not going to be in it much in terms of playable. You're not going to be able to play as him much. It does suck, and I'm going to leave it there because I do want to talk more about that in the next Rocksteady video. In general, though, we missed a big opportunity, I think. I think we missed an opportunity to see what they could do with this character. It is a hard character to work with, no doubt. It's probably the hardest character to work with. He's overpowered in every single way. He's basically a god. So how do you really make a world with that? If you made a Arkham Knight style, like that big of a world, which isn't even, I mean, it's big, but it's not that big. And even if you expanded upon that twice as much, Superman can fly at the speed of light. Okay, and would you restrict that in the game? How does he fly? Can he who does he fight? Who does he fight on a just a like mission to mission basis, or just like going down the street? Who is he attacking? How does that work? How does he actually get hurt? Because he really shouldn't get hurt, right? Except for if everybody has kryptonite on them. Besides that, he isn't even going to get hurt. So I understand he's very difficult to work with. I mean, just in general, it's very hard. And also, again, if you're limiting them to work in just the Arkham kind of mold, how you built that mold, that is very restricting. So really, we lost the opportunity right there, right when they were told, like, hey, you got to kind of do it like Arkham, okay? We're not making an Arkham game. We don't want you to make an Arkham game, but you have to make it. And I get it. Like, it's only talking about the engine, but the engine's everything. It's how the game will literally function, right? So if they're saying you need to use the Arkham engine, they're basically saying, we need you to kind of make an Arkham Asylum City Knight, but you need to do it with Superman. And that's very, very hard to do. And I think once that's just been established, we lost our chance of getting a good Superman game. I can't truthfully tell you, sitting here on this couch that I am sitting on, talking to you guys, I cannot truthfully tell you how I would do it better or worse. I can't tell you how I would pitch and mold a Superman game, because I really don't know, because he is just a hard character of all of his limitations, being that there are none. And how do you limit that? And because of that, he doesn't have limitations, but you have to limit him. So it's kind of a story of what could have been. I don't think we're past the point. I don't think, and like in general, like going forward over the next, say, console generation, 2 console generations, I don't think it's impossible that we get a Superman game. I think that one day it could happen. I think everybody kind of looked at Rocksteady and said, okay, if we were going to get a Superman game, if anybody could figure out how to do it, it would be these guys. And really, those are the only guys. And I still feel that way now. Again, I also feel that whatever game they're working on, if it is Justice League, that could be that stepping stone where it's like, okay, well, if we need to, and you know what, by the way, the fact that they have to use that engine does tell me it's probably going to be an Arkham-ish thing where you play as Batman quite often, even if it is a Justice League game. I feel like you play as Batman a lot. Again, we'll talk about that later in a different video, but that could be a stepping stone where it's like, all right, we can't make our own engine. We can't do this. We really cannot figure out how to make Superman his own unique character in his own unique game, right? Make it completely different. We can't do it. But if we figure out how to do this Justice League game, even if it's just a couple, it doesn't even have to be all the Justice League members. If it's just a couple, and we put it in the Arkham engine, and we have it come out, and it does really, really well, then we can gauge it, and we could say, okay, well, people liked, because Superman, you'd imagine they would try to figure out a way to do it. And you probably wouldn't play as him all that much. So then they could look at it and say, okay, well, here's what worked, here's what didn't work, here's what people liked, here's what people didn't like. And that is a good mold going forward. Maybe people say, hey, the Superman parts were the best part of this game. We want more of that. That's something that Rocksteady then can take to Warner Bros. And say, all right, you need to give us another 5, 6. And that's the problem, is also the fact that I feel like they were working on it for a long time, or trying to figure it out for such a long time, that we realistically, whatever game we do end up getting from them, we probably could have gotten it from them like 2 years earlier. I'm willing to bet, if this all didn't happen. If they knew what they were going for, and they were given the okay, and they were given everything they needed to do it, I feel like we would have gotten this game, and I truly believe this, in June of 2018. I really do believe that, because they were kind of conflicted, because they kind of didn't know what they were doing. And I'm not saying that in like a malicious way. I'm not saying that in like a mean way. There was just a lot of problems, right? If those problems weren't there, I feel like it could have come out a lot sooner than what it's actually going to be. Whatever this game is, I'm so interested to actually see it. I know, again, like and we've talked about it in the Justice League videos. We talked about it in the Suicide Squad videos. Is there like a multiplayer component? Did they go that route? I truly hope their idea wasn't, let's make, and to be honest, I feel like even though the Superman game was canceled, it's still a good note that that's the kind of game they want to make, right? They want to make that open world, maybe single hero game. And it doesn't have to be with Batman. They want to do a Superman. And again, if it's a Justice League game, maybe you just have a couple of them in it, but the point's still the same. They still want to make it open world, single player, you play as the character, right? And what I'm saying is that's not multiplayer. It's not you join a lobby, you play. It's not that it's Destiny. And I'm so conflicted on Marvel's Avengers that Like, and maybe some of you guys, I know we have a lot of crossover, we have a lot of people that like you guys that maybe do like it, maybe don't, maybe like Spider-Man, the PS4 game, maybe don't. What I'll tell you really briefly from Marvel's Avengers is I go literally on a roller coaster of I'm super excited about this game. There's a lot of things I really like, and then oh my god, there's a huge drop, and wow, this looks a lot like Destiny, and what they've told us, this sounds very, very worrisome, and it sounds very, very bad. I mean, every day you could get a good thing, and then the next day you can get a bad thing. And that game worries me so much that, to be honest with you, my overall thoughts of that game is that I don't want to deal with it. I don't want a game that I want to love so much. And like that game kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like we knew that they were working on an Avengers game, but in my mind, I didn't build it up too high, and to myself, so I'm not that disappointed if it doesn't do well and like we lost an opportunity. What I'm saying is, for this Justice League game, let's say it's a Justice League game, I mean, I'm over the moon for this game. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. I do not want to see them blow this. If this is a Justice League game, I have my expectations set. And no, it's not that they have to hit. It's not Rocksteady needs to hit Alex's expectations. But me personally, I want this game to be what I want it to be. And that, that's just very opinionated, but that's just the way that I am for this game. If it's not, then it's going to be, in my opinion, a huge opportunity lost. And I don't want to compare it to Marvel's Avengers. I don't want it to have anything to do, again, I'm going to get Marvel's Avengers day one. I like a lot of the stuff I've seen. I also hate a lot of the stuff I've seen. And I don't want Justice League to come out and be like, well, 50% of this game I adored. I wish the whole game was like that. The other 50%, complete and utter garbage. I just don't understand what they were doing there. I don't want to see that for Justice League. I don't want to see that for any game. I don't want to see that for a Superman game. And maybe something like that is the reason why they canceled it. So there's a lot to discuss in general. Let me know in the comments below, though, guys. What do you think about all of this stuff? What do you think happened with their Superman game? Or what do you think is going on with them right now? Again, I do want to talk in the future, I think the next video, about, I really do feel like it could be Justice League, and I feel like there's some tidbits of information in the Superman game, those leaks, that could help me make my case for it. So I want to discuss that in the next video. So thank you all very much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, bell icon, make sure you guys hit that, hit the like button, share, comment, all of that good stuff. Thank you as always for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video.